Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news discussion and, of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining us is Evgeni.
Hello.
Did you just become Batman?
Dark One.
Where's Rachel?
Where is she?
Where is she? It's like you're preparing for being in the new Batman movie, clearly. Because nothing says Batman like a short Eastern European man. Perfect. That's solid casting.
It's easier to punch him in below the bat belt.
Yeah, below the bat belt. Also joining us is Danielle. Welcome.
Better known as FelCandy everywhere.
Yes. And I am Chaos, and we're gonna talk about Dark One. We're recording this the day after it came out, so it's very fresh in our mind. I read it this morning, like I do all the graphic novels that we do on this show. Like I watched the day of. But this is brand new Brandon Sanderson stuff, and so we'll go talk about that in just a second. We have a little bit of news. We don't want to go into too much detail, but since the last episode, we got a big stream about the Way of Kings Kickstarter details. And so we'll put a link down below if you want to look at our very extensive news article on it. We also did a news article about introducing people to the Cosmere. So if you want to get into that and you're not fresh on some terminology, you can go check that out. And also, Grace wrote a lovely post on everything we know about Rhythm of War. And then found a bunch more things that we also knew about Rhythm of War that weren't tagged on Arcanum. So,
turns out we know a lot.
So, go check those out. Was there any other news? I don't think so.
No, but Kickstarter will launch.
Oh, yes.
July 7th. A few
7th.
days after this episode goes live.
Yep.
So, if you are watching this the Friday or the Saturday or the weekend,
it's very soon.
If you're watching this 3 years from now,
this will totally be irrelevant, like every news segment ever on any podcast. Right? Yes.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. So let's talk about Dark One. What'd you guys think?
It's good.
It's good.
Finally, we have a good Brandon Sanderson graphic novel.
I liked it. I was surprised
to defend the graphic novel medium anymore.
So I liked it, and it also makes it makes me really excited to see where not only the Dark One graphic novels go to, but like the rest of the Dark One universe goes, right?
Yeah,
it also makes me excited to see the sequels to White Sand.
Yeah, let's hope Dynamite doesn't have those.
Well, but even if they do, this, I think, like the production quality of Dark One shows to me how much Volt is better than Dynamite. Well, I shouldn't say that. How much the cooperation between Dragonsteel and Volt is better than the cooperation between Dragonsteel and Dynamite. But like, so at least one of these parties will be a factor in future White Sand productions. So, and that one party is now enriched by experience. Yes.
Danielle, what do you think?
I loved it. I am not a big graphic novel reader, but I am a fan of the arts. And just seeing his work as a visual medium that is a completely new IP was amazing. And I gobbled it up. I read it in like 45 minutes or an hour. And then I had to go back and like look at new scenes and stuff that I missed because I was so excited to get to the next page.
There was a lot of detail.
Yeah, surprisingly.
I went through the first, maybe third, like I was actually trying to keep notes for the Coppermind. And then like a third way or a halfway through, I was like, no, I'm just gonna enjoy this thing.
Yeah, you gotta enjoy on the first read. The Coppermind's reread territory for sure.
Well, I read that excerpt a few times while we were waiting for it to come out, probably 3 times. And so I'm really good at that part. but I'm definitely going to have to reread it again to really get all the little details and nitty gritty.
In case you didn't know, FelCandy makes incredible fan art of lots of things. So she is very much into the arts.
Yes.
Which is why we wanted to have an artist on the on a graphic novel episode rather than
the perfect one for my first Shardcast.
Yes, and we're not going to do blow by blows like the White Sand ones because that did not work. that was a bad idea.
It's also a big graphic. There are 200 pages of this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And lots of dialogue, lots of pages with dialogue on it, which is perfect for us, but
a lot of detail in like the art and like it does kind of, because there's so much going on, you do need to like slow down a bit because you can miss a lot of the detail. But actually kind of a good thing because it gives you some world flavor and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like there's a lot of dialogue, but there's never too much dialogue.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's always a good balance between like the dialogue, the pacing, and the art.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Maybe in a couple of places, but it was
overall.
I would say those were outliers.
Mm-hmm. And like I liked the art. You could tell what was happening. Like that was great. That was really good.
I really like the character designs, and oh my god, Dark One's armor is so cool.
It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
It is.
It's like a Dark Souls boss or something.
Well, even like the princess's armor and stuff, like it's just it's good. Yeah, I was surprised how much I liked it, and a few plot twists, like one that I called, one that I didn't really call, just like kind of mixing with the magic. We don't get too much of the magic, but there are a few things that we're told, and so we kind of know a little bit what's going on. And this does say Volume 1, so I guess we're getting like 3 of these.
I read that somewhere. I have not been able to find that sense.
Yeah, I know.
But I definitely read it somewhere.
I saw 3 installments.
Look, I trust your judgment and memory much more than mine, Ian. So that's fine. But on the spine, it does say Volume 1. So we're getting more of these. But yeah, I'm way more excited about the Dark One universe and the J. Michael Straczynski show. Like, oh yeah, give me that. I am going to be there for that. Because that will be awesome.
And we have the 2 confirmed audio dramas coming out, I think, next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was some news. Yeah.
Dark Prophecies is one of them, and Forgotten, I think, is the other one.
Go to 17char.com for all your news discussion.
Or historical prophecies or something like that. It was
it's like prophetic histories. Prophetic histories.
Oh, there you go.
Sure. Well,
I actually look at the news article, but
historic prophecies, prophetic histories.
How would you have a prophetic history?
Because it's awesome. Like, prophetic history is just an awesome name. Who cares if we don't know what it means?
It is interesting,
story
right?
And everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, so that'll be cool. So yeah, there'll be some audio dramas. So
Brandon did talk briefly about them.
Yeah,
prophetic histories is the novelization of his original idea of his script. So essentially, the novel without the graphic. They've probably there will probably still be changes between the novelization and the graphic novel, just because different mediums.
Yeah, it's working off of the same outline rather than being based on the graphic novel itself.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be good for people who like a lot of that exposition and inner thoughts and things.
And I remember the Forgotten was something wonky.
It's like a serial style podcast with a journalist tracking a killer, which if there is a minor like throwaway line in the graphic novel referencing that podcast.
Because there is about a true crime. Yeah, there totally
talking
is.
To
the lawyers.
Valerian. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, which that's cool.
That is actually pretty cool. Although I've been watching a lot of this YouTube channel about law and stuff, and let's just say there's some liberties taken, in which case the entire scene where they go in the judge's chambers, like you would have the prosecution there, but I guess you just not like, okay, but sure, fine. Creative liberties, legal accuracy a little low, but you know,
that's okay. I'm not
that's
upset.
okay. That's okay. Yeah, I was just surprised that I liked it so much. I'm really excited for future stuff.
Absolutely.
I had faith in Brandon and Jackson Lanzing and Colin Kelly, who I have read other things they've written. So,
oh yeah, this definitely makes me want to find all of their work and read it.
Yeah, definitely really good. So let's talk about the characters.
We also probably want to put a big disclaimer saying that we are done with the spoiler-free stuff. I think we haven't really spoiled anything.
No, we haven't spoiled anything.
I think that wasn't in the prologue.
Yeah, no.
But now we're gonna dig into spoilers.
Yes. Oh man, there's lots to talk about.
So our main cast, Paul, his mom, Lynn.
Yep.
They are dead, presumably. Dad.
Non-existing.
Well, Zoran.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki,
Nikki, the sister. Joffrey Mitchell, aka Nika. Oh yeah, Nika.
Okay.
Yeah.
The White Wizard, Ilarion.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Caligo, also known as Malmaham the Uncalled, the previous Dark One.
I totally called that, by the way. That was.
Oh yeah.
Was like, that seemed pretty obvious to me.
I knew he had something to
obvious.
do with Mirandus, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Rastic, the charming droll.
Yeah.
Not an orc, not a goblin.
Yeah.
Love Rastic.
Yep. Goblins don't exist.
Yes, that's right.
We have the unfortunately named Crisis.
Is that how we're supposed
Crisis?
to? I don't know.
I actually thought about how to pronounce his name.
It's Kraisis. It's like, yeah, I guess Christ. Yeah, sure.
Crisis or something.
This is Brandon, who likes to pronounce AI like A. So Brandon was probably intending this to be Crisis.
Yeah.
But that is stupid.
That is stupid.
Okay, well let's go with Crisis just to avoid this.
No one listening to the audiobook can complain about a pronunciation because there is no audiobook.
Not yet. And the princess, later on the queen, Feotora.
Yes.
Did you get a name for her father or no?
No, I think it was,
we did.
We did, but I didn't write it down.
Oh yeah, it started with a G though.
Like it's like Gosvik.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Geodic.
Or Gosovich. Depending
something like that.
Which region you want to pronounce it as.
Mr. King G.
The Chronicle King.
The Chronicle King.
Which is a cool-ass title.
It is a cool title.
Like, it really does fit with the whole, like, narrative thing. It's like, yes, I'm the Chronicle King.
The narrative is, like, a really cool thing. Like, that. There's, a lot of cool lines tying into that.
I love how the like head lawyer dude at that firm is also the previous destined one. Like, I just thought that was super cool. I thought the princess was really cool. She has a lot of characters.
Feotora a lot.
I loved her. She's probably my favorite to read.
Yeah.
She's probably like the secondary protagonist, which is an actual term. Deuteragonist, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I think. Yeah. I think that's the technical term for secondary protagonist. I think going forward, like, she's going to have as big a role as Paul.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Lynn.
Yeah. Very interesting character.
She didn't have quite as much spot. Like, she's not a main character. She's definitely a secondary character.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of probably on the same tier as, I would say, Ilarion. The White Wizard, but like, she's one badass lady.
Yeah,
and I just enjoyed like she has conviction and she has skill and she is good at what she does, and what she does is sometimes good. I think she loves the unlovable more than I ever could.
Yeah.
The only
the
thing
media likes to demonize like defense lawyers in like movies and things. And so the fact that she has actual convictions and morality and everything, and that shows in her own work that she's willing to sacrifice her career for that, is a really interesting character trait that I like to see.
Yeah. The law stuff kind of got me a little bit, because it's like, why is she like, yes, no, I gotta get a win? It's like, most trials don't. You never get to trial. Like, if you're a defense attorney, you're pleading all the time and getting there. So like that kind of got me. But her character was very cool. That whole plot line, I was like, where are we going with this? So that's why I started to figure that the murderer was the previous.
Well, I got that from the page that they were showing all the red highlights on the murders of each year. And the red is a symbol of the Dark One. I mean, you see it on all of his pages. And so I kind of put it together that early on. And then I was kind of trying to see what his whole goal in all of this, and why are there two Dark Ones if that is the case? Like, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
When we got to like the actual trial, because like it was synced up to the battle, like the final climactic battle, it was also like kind of the first battle. But I thought this was playing into the narrative where it's like they were like the same event playing out like across like worlds, which didn't happen. It would have been cool if that was the thing. I was very excited, and then it was like, oh no, this is just coincidence that these are happening at the same time.
But it would have been cool. I agree.
It's classic Brandon. Got to switch the POVs in the ending. It's like, yep, that it really is.
One thing I enjoyed a ton with the characters in this graphic novel was that I find it very difficult to slap a label good, evil on like any of them. Except for Malmaham. And even with him, like, yes, he is unquestionably evil, but he's also an interesting kind of evil, right? He wants to destroy the world, but the reasons that he wants to destroy the world are interesting to me.
He probably doesn't think of himself as evil. He probably thinks of himself as the savior.
No, he says he's evil incarnate.
Yeah.
It also seems like he may have like broke the narrative in some way.
I think he broke the narrative. I don't think he was supposed to be the Dark One. I don't think there was supposed to be a Dark One yet. And he, by making himself the Dark One, he broke the narrative.
That's why he was the Uncalled, I think.
Yeah. He liked it really
and that's why
things.
There wasn't a Destined One that arose after him, with him. Because Ilarion says, like, it's unprecedented. I'm the only Destined One to fight two Dark Ones. Because one of them wasn't supposed to be a Dark One.
You know what happened? So the first time around, two, and this is going into plot, but whatever.
Yeah.
Two Dark Ones ago. Dark One rises to power. Ilarion rises as the Destined One. They do battle. Ilarion wins. Great. And then Malmaham, the Uncalled, rises impromptu as the Dark One. There is no other Destined One, so Ilarion goes, but he can't actually defeat this Dark One because the narrative requires a Destined One to rise up to the challenge of a Dark One. And so I bet what he does is he can't win, so he shoves Malmaham on Earth and then says, I defeated the second Dark One. I am the only Destined One to ever defeat two of them.
Wait, no, because he was the one who did defeat Malmaham.
Yeah, but like he didn't kill him, obviously.
Yeah,
he just kind of imprisoned him over on Earth.
I think the narrative requires the Destined One to defeat and like kill the Dark One.
So you're saying that he wasn't the Destined One?
No, he was Destined One
for the previous round, right?
But the previous round was Malmaham.
The round before Malmaham, is when Ilarion rose as the
Is that
as
true?
the actual Destined One.
Yes. Yeah.
He does say he defeated 2 of them. One of them is Malmaham. The other one is the one before.
I guess I was interpreting the second thing to mean that he was going to kill this Dark One. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he was grooming the new Destined One, Crisis, or however you pronounce it, to be the one to fight the new Dark One, Paul.
Yeah. I guess I'm just not sure how we're getting 2 Dark Ones before. I guess I need
He said that he defeated 2. So the first one he defeated, and then Malmahan rose up and he defeated him by sending him to Earth and kind of imprisoning him there. And then Paul shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's trying to treat Crisis as the new Destined One to defeat Paul.
Yeah.
To keep the narrative going.
Well, so I think Ilarion also wants to break the narrative. Like, I think
he does.
He wants to change the narrative. I don't think he wants to break it. Because it's like the system is fine in his mind. He just thinks the Dark Ones and Destined Ones should be from the Mirandas.
He doesn't want more Dark Ones.
I don't think he says that.
Doesn't he want to finish, like, make it so that it's always light?
No, I think he wants it so that he wants to break the connection to Earth.
Yeah.
He wants, like, the Destined One and Dark One to come from Mirandas.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I totally just read this wrong. These are fresh takes. First time we're talking about these.
Yeah.
Hot, fresh take.
One of the downsides of a graphic novel versus a novel is that you just don't read as many words. And so, like, the names and the events don't...
Their motivations are not as clear as well.
Because, the 2 Dark Ones, I just thought they were referring to Paul, but it's like, yeah, right. No, you're totally right. That is interesting.
So I think that's what he did, yeah. Mm-hmm. I think he shoved Malmahan on Earth, claimed total victory, claimed that he was twice the Destined One.
Right.
Now things are going to go bad.
And this Crisis guy, he was never the Destined One.
No.
Because he couldn't have been, because he wasn't from Earth. So.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things Ilarion was trying to do, right? He was trying to... So my impression was not that he wanted to move the Destined One and the Dark One to come from Mirandas, but to make it so Mirandas or the Kingdoms of Light don't need a Destined One. Like, they just rise up and go and take care of any problem that arises in the Blackened Lands.
No, I think he was still kind of focused on there being a Destined One.
He was like, I must be the last Destined One, not of Mirandas.
Yeah, he's like, he was trying to force the narrative into choosing Crisis as the Destined One.
Sure.
Which, Ilarion is a very interesting character. And I definitely think he is the overall villain of the series. Malmahan.
Yeah. They're like both pretty bad, but it's hard to say. It's like, oh, Malmahan, yeah, he killed so many.
Yeah.
What I think one of the main reasons Ilarion exists is to show that there is darkness in the light.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's that good and like the light isn't good and darkness isn't evil.
Yeah.
Which,
that's what I mean.
Because the Droll aren't evil.
No.
It's definitely just talking about oppression.
Yeah.
I mean, the oppression of the Droll and the oppression of the Blackened Lands in general.
I loved the moment when the princess killed the king and then ascended. Like, I thought that was really cool. It did seem really a little fast there.
It happened a little quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? Her queen armor is so cool that I'm cool with that. Like, that is so cool.
Like the panel where the people were cheering and like Ilarion was announcing her, she looked so cool there.
Yeah.
I love the part when she goes, "Get me my real armor."
Yeah, I did like that.
Yeah.
But you can also like see on her face in certain panels, like she is definitely not 100% okay with what she just did.
She's like crying.
She was grieving
as she gets the crown on her. Like, She's such a good
That's
character.
like such a great thing you can do with graphic novels. Like you can get facial expressions. You don't have to go into exposition of like, she feels terrible about this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And it's good when the art, you can see what's on people's face and stuff, and like that helps. And just be like, yes, I get all this emotion. I think, speaking of character, because I think it seemed like Discord had some issue with Paul becoming the Dark One really quick, and so I think we got to talk about that. Which kind of leads us into what happened in their past, and with Nika. So I think we got to talk about that.
Yes.
I loved, this is probably my favorite plot twist in there, where they say the Dark One like binds souls, and then it's like, oh no, he bound his sister's souls. Like, I really liked that. That was great. But I was a little, maybe we should just talk about all what's going on with their dad and stuff, because there's a lot of things that we need to pick apart there.
Sure. Good old Zoran.
Which totally does not sound like an Earth name at all. Like,
no.
Like, is he just, like, I don't know if he's native Mirandan.
Imagine the wedding ceremony. The person who officiates going, you Lin Yang, and you Zoran Tennyson.
And yeah, so clearly he has some relationship with Mirandus, and I don't think it's clear because he's like vanishing for reasons.
Yeah, he had a portal to Mirandus.
Yep.
And like potentially other worlds.
So it is unclear, right?
Yeah, like, are there like just all these other worlds? Because that's kind of what it seemed like in that art panel where Paul and Nika go into the portal, right? That they're going to all sorts
of green and floating.
Yeah,
because there's multiple doors. Legs.
Yeah,
but it's also similar to the panel where Paul gets shoved back to Earth. Mm-hmm. So to me, that just looks like what interdimensional space looks like when you go through portals. This is what the ways look like. but it's very possible that there do exist other worlds.
And then Zoran died. There was this sword, and then they forgot about him. And I want to talk about the forgetting stuff because that was weird.
Well, so somebody went to their household and like spoke with Lynn and like told her about her husband's death and that, hey, at least it's not going to hurt for long. Like you're going to forget him in a couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was Ilarion.
I don't know.
Like in the guise of like the lawyer guy.
Well, it was somebody completely out of frame.
Yeah, because it's just like text and then there's just dialogue, so we have no. Yeah, because
So the other thing is, to me at least, it read like Malmaham or Malmahan was the one to kill him, because he did, like in the final confrontation in the courtroom, he did say something to the effect of him like having so much fun with Zoran.
See, I don't know if the timeline works on that. Because I think Zoran died in Mirandus. He didn't die on Earth.
That's a bloody sword, Alec. I just don't know what that means currently.
Yeah, like,
no. There was a coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean like 100%, right? Like he could have died in Mirandus and like they could have put him in a coffin and then brought him here for whatever reason.
Or just ceremonial.
Yeah. And so when Caligo, when Malmahan talks about the murders, right? So he commits, 15 that they know about?
15 that they know about, and then 13.
Yep.
Right. And when he says the 13, he says one for each year.
Yeah.
That to me reads that he's been stuck on Earth for 28 years.
I agree.
Yep.
Paul is 17, I believe. Mm-hmm. And his dad dies when he's like 4 or 5.
No, a little later than that.
Well, okay, sure. But like
before 10.
When he's a kid.
Let's say. Yeah.
Malmahan had already been on Earth, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yes.
And
I
so
totally agree.
I think there's a large I think there's a precedent for Zoran dying at Malmahan's hands on Earth because of what or who Zoran Tennyson is on Mirandus or was on Mirandus.
He definitely mentions Zoran, Malmahan.
He does
at the end,
and one of the ways he mentions him, which was interesting to me, like he talks to Lynn, and by being a complete ass about it, says that she was the sheath, the sword that guards the light, for the sword that guards the light of Mirandus. And so, ignoring the fact that he's calling the wife of a man a sheath, the sword that guards the light of Mirandus sounds a little, not necessarily like a title, but it could be a position of power, especially considering that Ilarion, like when he's in the prologue, when he's walking to meet the Chronicle King and he's getting announced, one of the titles that the announcer gives him is the Arcane Shield of Mirandus. And so I wonder whether there is another position in the court of the Kingdoms of Light, in the court of the Chronicle King, for somebody like the White Wizard, but like maybe the White Wizard is the kind of magical defender of the land, and then there is like a physical, like a knight, the sword to his sorcery, and maybe Zoran was that person,
or like a bodyguard for the White Wizard.
Sure,
like with Torres the light of Mirandus being the destined one.
What was Featora's title? She had a title.
Yeah, before she was Chronicle Queen.
Yeah. I'm wondering if she took up that role. No, it says the destined one is our shining sword, the narrative's chosen, but I am the kingdom's bloodied blade.
And I am Featoria, third of my name, Princess of Light to your Chronicle King, Gossavek.
Yeah, I don't think that means much. I think it's just a way for her to say that she's a warrior.
Yeah.
I have a question looking back at the beginning. How did Ilarion know that the Dark One was rising?
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because he walks in and says that he's seen the Dark One.
It's like
I think he knew it was Paul.
Yeah, because he mentioned to his mom about how she was forgetting his birthday, and I think that's kind of a sign because of her memory.
Forgetting stuff, yeah. Oh, that's pretty good. Now, about the forgetting stuff, Malmahan at the end is like saying, Mirandus is a dream you can't remember, lest this world be revealed for what it is, an echo like me. And so I was wondering, like, how did Paul forget about his sister? But I guess because when they go back to Earth, they forget about the other stuff, I guess? In some ways?
Yeah, something to that effect. Like, obviously, while Lynn and Zoran were married, like, the fact that he was a Mirandan didn't play into effect. Like, she didn't forget her husband every day, right?
I don't...
But without him there.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then
he wasn't there to reinforce the fact that he was real.
Yeah. So, without some, like, anchor, I guess, people from Earth just forget about Mirandus.
I thought it was when they died, because when dad died and when sister died, that's when they started to forget about them. And then they said, "Oh, you'll be fine in a couple days."
Yeah, it's probably the death. Yeah, because when Ilarion goes to visit Mirandus, people don't forget about Joffrey Mitchell.
Yeah, right.
Which is his
the rhyme he gives to create the portal is such a good line.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
it is.
I wonder if he breaks his window in the law firm every time he goes.
Every time.
It's just like, where'd he go? I don't know. I throw my cup at the glass every time.
I just want to read out that line.
Go for it.
Because it's, as light unlocks the future, let worlds unlock to me. Dust of bone, life of ash, shattered soul, cut by glass.
It's really cool.
I remember I wondered about this shattered soul that he mentions. And if there's like maybe the people who can travel between worlds are in some way, like in some ways exist in all of the world, like pieces of their souls exist in all of the worlds, and that's what allows them to travel.
Well, if Zoran is Mirandan, then Paul would have Mirandan blood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
which is really interesting because
because we know Lynn is human.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoran Tenassin, that's got to be a Mirandan name. Like, that's just too ridiculous.
Here's something that I hadn't put together until now. In that panel when Fiora talks to Paul and explains to him the narrative and the Destined One and the Dark One.
Great spread of the Destined One and the
Gorgeous
Dark One.
art.
That was so cool.
That
like the feather in the Destined One's hand, the quill.
And then the chains like dragging behind the Dark One. Anyway, super cool panel. Love it. Vault Comics people, make that a poster. I'll buy it.
I will buy it. I want that without the text so I can make that the thumbnail. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. But so on that spread, she talks about how the Destined One has the power to travel between worlds.
Yep. Yeah, it does say that.
If that is something that is unique to the Destined One, what is Zoran doing on Earth? Like, was he one of the recent Destined Ones?
That's what I was thinking with the name of the sword, because everybody refers to the Destined One as this light sword, or the sword that guides the light.
With the sheath of the sword with Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Or alternatively, and this seems less likely to me, but like alternatively, could he have hitched a ride with the Destined One to Earth for whatever reason? The same, well, hopefully not the same way, but in a way similar to how Malmahan brought Lynn with him to Mirandus.
I don't think the Destined One is the only one that can travel between the worlds, because like I don't think that's their main ability. Their main ability is editing the narrative.
Not the main one, sure.
Yeah,
but it is an ability that Fiora ascribes to the Destined One.
Yeah, they can reach two worlds beyond, but are bound to Mirandus' very soul.
So there are other worlds for sure. Yeah.
I take it all back. The knight, the berserker guy that attacked Paul, he was obviously not the Destined One. Yeah, and he was obviously sent across. Now he was sent across
by the Destined One,
a Destined One, right? So the ability,
the order of a Destined One.
Sure.
But Larian did not enact the spell.
Well, no. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like there definitely can be plenty of world hopping. No, let's not call it that on the Coppermind. Going off of Paul having Mirandan blood, if Zoran is Mirandan, which sounds like he would be, is interesting because the Destined One and the Dark One, come from Earth, that they're not of Mirandus. And so that is very interesting if Paul is, part Mirandan, how that affects the grand narrative. I don't know if it matters, but...
Yeah, so my crack theory...
Okay, let's go.
...is that the important thing is that he was born on Earth.
Yeah.
Because I think all of the Mirandans, the human Mirandans, their ancestors were from Earth. I don't think humans are native to Mirandus. Like I said, crack theory.
Oh, all right. That's a hot take right there.
The Droll are the natives of Mirandus.
That is what my impression was as well, is the Droll were native to Mirandus and humans came into that world and they were like, oh, these Droll the evil, and we have to colonize this place.
So I think I know where you're coming from, like with the whole, like the Drolls are very, very obviously of Miranda's, like with how they come from the soil and stuff.
Yeah, they grow like plants.
So weird,
but I think there was a line. I think there was a line that described the Chronicle King as being bound to the realm of Miranda's. And so to me, that read that those humans, those Mirandans, were also native and that they couldn't leave. And that's what makes the Destined Ones so special, is that they're not bound.
They are bound. The world. Like it's...
Okay, yeah.
The Destined One is bound to Miranda's very soul.
Bound to Miranda's soul, yeah. Sorry, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It says they can reach to worlds beyond, so they can still travel.
I wonder how much ability the Destined One has to edit the
narrative.
Yeah, that's...
Frankly, it's terrifying.
It is terrifying. Like, what horrible crap has Ilarion been up to if he can do that? Like, a lot of stuff.
Well, we saw him trying to, and he was pretty bad at it because his little protege, met an untimely end.
I guess that's true.
There is the argument to be made that he is no longer the Destined One. And so he no longer has the ability to edit the narrative. And so, like, he's still trying to, he's still pushing for it, but he can't.
Interesting.
And it's also interesting that the Destined One has the ability to edit the narrative, and the Dark One has the ability to delete the narrative or delete parts of the narrative, which, I mean, those kind of go hand in hand.
It's like deleting life itself.
They're not
what the Dark One is.
Yeah.
Binding,
delete, unwrite that which is made sacred by the narrative.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if, like, the narrative writes itself, but the Destined One can edit it. But there is probably some pushback by the narrative if you try to take those edits too far.
Yeah, my impression was that you can only edit small things.
So I think Ilarion might have tried to make too large of an edit, and the narrative was not having that.
Like, no, you cannot make this person the Destined One or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, this brings us to something. I had an outline for this episode, and it's now completely out the window.
Our outline is totally screwed because we're just like, this is the first time we're talking about this. I don't know, we're excited.
Just blabbing. So the scene at the end where Paul faces off against Krasis.
Yep. Oh, yes, I wanted to talk about this.
So what Paul does there, to me, like the way I read the scene is, so first of all, he accuses Krasis of feeding on the souls of what I assume to be the Droll, and then he like grabs either his soul or his power or both, and gives it back to the soil, gives it back to the Droll.
Yeah, what is up with that?
And then goes, your souls are your own. Like, the way this read to me was Krasis feeding on the souls of the Droll, which, how the hell?
So, like, in this scene, there is, Paul has a great line of, I'm the heart of the city, which is a great callback to earlier on.
I love it.
Yep.
But now that I'm looking at this again, I remember in the moment, I was questioning on whether or not Krasis was in fact the Destined One.
Yeah.
And if the Destined One was like an artificial construct by the humans that, like, they took the souls of the Droll and like fashioned them into the mantle of the Destined One.
Oh.
Which is, and so it's like, killed the Destined One, restored the Droll their souls. I don't totally know if that works, but
yeah,
there's no foreshadowing for something like that. But I don't think there's also anything that like explicitly contradicts it.
Yeah, it's this whole scene I felt came a little out of nowhere.
Yeah, the ending definitely goes real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, what does Paul mean by you are a stolen soul?
And it's like, you've taken their power for years to fuel your own, but now it's returned to the soil, and then all the droll and stuff rise.
Oh, yeah, okay, so I remember I was thinking when I was reading this, maybe that's something that... Yeah, I guess that goes along with Ian's point, right? Maybe like for years, instead of just killing the droll, Ilarion and Krasus have been killing them and also capturing their souls and like feeding power into Krasus.
It's like I think it's the impression I got was it was like far older than that. Like I don't think Ilarion was the one that did this to the droll. I think this happened to the droll when the narrative began.
You're thinking every Destined One.
Yeah.
Not just Bjorn.
Yeah.
What do you think, Danielle? You were going to say something.
Well, I was thinking, because his sword lights up and he goes, I'm blessed.
Yep.
And so there's another magic sword. And we know the other magic sword is the dark ones. And so I was wondering if maybe like a game of telephone, each Destined One is training up a new Destined One, and they're kind of misreading the narrative that they're supposedly editing and kind of getting it a little confused as to what their actual purpose is.
My impression was that the Destined One is supposed to rise kind of out of nowhere. Like the way the Chronicle King was talking about it, the reason he was so outraged at Ilarion intentionally training a Destined One was because the Chronicle King believed that the narrative requires a Dark One to rise, and then as a response to that, there comes a Destined One out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so now it's out of sync, you're thinking?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's out of sync, and Ilarion is either doing nothing at best, or at worst, he's trying to force the hand of the narrative.
But the real thing that's out of sync that really we don't know is that Malmahan came, and there was, quote, no Destined One to rise, because it was like that weird thing that was the weird part. There, like Ilarion could have done something weird in the cycle before Malmahan that screwed things up for sure. But
alternatively, there was a Destined One for Malmahan, but Ilarion got rid of him.
Ooh, I do kind of like that idea.
To like steal the spotlight, because he's totally that type of guy.
He totally is that type of guy for sure. He murdered the Chronicle King and had no issue with that. Well, sorry, he made the princess kill the Chronicle King.
Proxy murder.
Yeah. He's the reason why.
Like, he is very dramatic and full of himself.
Oh,
he is so dramatic.
Yeah. And it's like you can tell the Chronicle King has a great line of like when Ilarion first arrives, it's like, bring on your storm clouds, my wizard of ill tidings, which actually reminded me a lot of Gandalf.
Yeah,
because Gandalf Stormcrow, like also a white wizard.
White wizard, yeah.
I like that idea a lot, actually.
I wouldn't put it past Ilarion because that makes a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm. And it feeds into is like he knows better than the narrative thing. Like, oh, narrative, you're going to pick the guy I chose, not the guy you want to choose.
And that could like further feed into the whole, well, the Malmaham / no Destined One, maybe murder Destined One was messed up. Like, because at the end, Malmaham talks about he being the one who actually like broke the narrative and like won the game. But now Paul was gonna reap the benefits of that, except he doesn't.
Yeah, I think Malmahan damaged the narrative potentially in some way, but it was Paul that actually broke it totally.
How did Paul break it?
By killing the supposed Destined One.
Yeah, but I never thought that he was actually the Destined One, so I don't think that it was actually broken. Like, I think we'll definitely see a Destined One.
Yeah.
I think the victory was at least what God, what was his name? Krasik?
Yes.
The droll?
Rustic. Yeah, Rustic.
Yeah.
Rustic,
I think the fact that the forces of the dark prevailed is what Rustic and Nika thought were like the signs of the narrative changing or breaking, or like, hey, we are forging a new narrative now.
Yeah, but like, weren't these like massive desolations? Like, there would probably have been engagements, and they kind of won some of them. But like, I don't know. Maybe.
But it's like the Force of the Light were like angling for this to be the battle.
Yeah.
So the fact that they won the battle is the big thing.
I think we will see a destined one, though.
I kind of want Paul to be both the Dark One and the Destined.
That would be really cool.
Alternatively, I want
thinking.
Theotora to be the Destined one.
Yep. I definitely like her for it.
Yeah. But you know...
She Mirandan?
Yeah.
She's Mirandan.
Mm-hmm.
But she has the line about growing up, she knew she was going to be the Destined one.
Yeah.
Which I think that has to be something.
I mean, the thing is that Ilarion telling her about the Destined one and stuff, that they're always of Earth. Maybe I don't think we should take that at face value necessarily. You know, because he can frickin' edit, or he at least had at some point the ability to edit the narrative, right?
But I think that's the thing that's too big.
True.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think the Destined one could edit how the Destined ones are chosen.
That's
I don't
true.
think the narrative would allow that.
But like,
unless that's what screwed up the narrative.
Ilarion edited himself in to replace his successor.
Well, Ilarion changing the narrative in such a significant way, saying Destined Ones can now be Mirandans, that the narrative just burned.
Regardless,
I think that's
don't trust Ilarion. Like, he could be full of crap and like with half-truths and stuff, and that would be totally legit, because who knows the extent of his machinations, right? Like, I don't know how, but like, he could have done all sorts of weird crap. Now, speaking of Destined Ones, in this episode, we were destined for an ad break, because you know what we have today? I know, great segue, right, guys? We're gonna go to our own other world, the advertisement realm, because we have a real sponsor. Not even kidding. Yes?
Yes. Eric is not joking. He's not about to make a terrible Cosmere theme.
No, this is not by the Mishram's Misconnections or whatever the first one I did was. What? I don't even remember.
Like something like some food product. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Terrible.
It was pretty bad.
Basin beef.
Oh, yes. It was the Ellendale Basin. Yes, it was about ham. Yes, it was.
Ham.
Yes. But this is we have a real sponsor. We're sponsored today by Hank Green, and we're sponsored by his new book, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, which comes out July 7th. Jess,
same day as the Kickstarter.
Hooray! One of those will probably be more important to this fandom, but if you want to check out some fiction that is not sci-fi or fantasy, this would be pretty good, because they don't write spec fiction, but it's the sequel to an absolutely remarkable thing, which is the story of a young woman thrown into fame during a global crisis of contagious dreams and mysterious robots. So I guess that there is some technology aspect to it. I have not read that first one, but I know Jess is a big fan of John and Hank Green and has read stuff of Hank Green's. And
as am I, for that matter. I haven't read, but like, I'm a huge fan of them in like the internet sphere.
Yeah, they're cool people.
They're super cool people. And as for this specific book, the Library Journal Starred Review said, throughout this adventurous, witty, and compelling novel, Green delivers sharp social commentary on the power of social media and both the benefits and horrendous consequences that follow when we give too much of ourselves to technology. Sounds about right. This actually does sound reasonably interesting. I would probably need to read the first one first. But this is also...
It's advisable to read the first books in the series.
Oh, you mean you're not supposed to start with the ending first? Yeah, right. No, seems pretty cool. And Hank wanted to sponsor some indie podcasts, and so took part of his advance to fund small podcasts. So that's super cool. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. And this is also not only a sequel, but it's also the conclusion to the story of the first book. So it's not like part 2 of 3 or something. So that's always nice when a series just 2.
Mm-hmm. Duologies
are nice.
Such a weird feeling not to have a trilogy.
I know, but I like that. I like that. So you can go to hankgreen.com and you can get the book anywhere books are sold. Ebook, audiobook, hardcover, whatever.
I love that phrase. Anywhere books are sold.
AKA
it's
Amazon.
A very accurate statement.
Yep. Cool. I think that's really awesome to have a real ad sponsor for a book. It's up our alley, so hopefully you listeners don't terribly mind too much. But
and a sponsor we actually like and our fans like. Yeah. This is not a sponsorship by Match.com.
Look,
MeUndies.
Yeah. Look, if I could get a sponsorship from Dr. Pepper, I am totally doing that. I am shilling out for Dr. Pepper.
I agree with that. Dr. Pepper is good.
I drink way too much of it. Dr. Pepper sponsor Shardcast. I will shill for Dr. Pepper. No problem. There's plenty of things I'll shill about, but maybe not MeUndies. But
this one was not a hard shill.
No, it wasn't. And SciShow's great. Vlog Brothers is great. Mm-hmm. So Jess is a big fan, especially. So.
Crash Course.
Also Crash Course, yep. So cool.
Pretty much most of what they do is good. So.
Yeah.
So that's super nice about that. So anyway, let's get back to our destined podcast on this. And I think Destiny foretells that this is going to be a 2-parter, because we kind of have a lot to talk about. It's like, what if we talk about that one thing? Hey, remember when we were talking about, when I was trying to talk about Paul and Nika, and we just because we have no rails? Yeah, we totally, really, guys, you are getting us at the freshest of fresh takes, where we literally read this yesterday and today, and we have not discussed this in, any way.
It has not even been 24 hours yet.
It has not been 24 hours since this has come
it's
out.
23-ish,
yep.
22-ish. I do have a question or a topic to reel us back onto the not very stable rails.
Yes. There's no trains in Miranda. So
the first dark one, Karkun.
I don't think that was that the first one. Was that the first
Karkun
one?
Was the first.
Oh, that's really interesting.
I think he was the first.
Oh, that's interesting.
So we don't know much about him, right? And I didn't look at the entire thing when I was preparing my notes, but freaking Shakespeare tried to write a play about him.
Oh yeah,
right. Because you read it and it kind of reads like Shakespeare, which doesn't mean much. But then there's a note that says, "Hey, William, maybe come up with a different play."
Hogwash.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
And Jackson Lansing did a whole tweet string thanking people, and he did explicitly call out and there's 3 pages that are literally a Shakespeare.
Yeah, for the letterer who did those. Yeah.
Oh,
so I did not think it. I missed that this was actual Shakespeare.
Yeah. But there's totally a note.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should put this on screen. That might be good. If there's anything that you want to put on screen, you gotta let me know, because otherwise we're just in WoB. We're not in WoB mode.
Well, we'll do that, and at some point, if we talk about the map, we'll do that. But
we got to talk about the map. There's so many things to talk about that our outline is just totally trashed, completely.
Yeah. I fully came into this an unorganized mess because I knew it was going to be an unorganized mess.
I had no notes whatsoever.
Any planning I did wasn't going to matter.
I had no notes whatsoever.
I didn't plan as much as I just wrote things down so I don't forget to talk about them. But yeah, so Shakespeare tried to write a freaking play about Karkun, the first dark one. And as best as I can tell, Obviously, there's some words missing here and there because of the creative artistic angle of the thing.
God,
but like, it tells the story of essentially the moment Karkun, quote unquote, ascended, right? Became the Dark One. Like, it seems to pick up just before he drinks from the Well of Sorrows.
A Well of Darkness. Well, at least this is called Well of Darkness.
The place called Rustic calls it the Well of Sorrows.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Which may or may not be, but the well. They usually call it the well. Yeah, but it seems to pick up just before. It's essentially that, though.
It is. It's the Well of Descension.
Look,
we'll circle back to the well eventually. But so just before, his father is apparently dead. His mother is dead. His wife or lover, who is the only other named character in the, well, except he then kisses her like a man kisses. So, hopefully not his sister.
I mean, there are times in history.
It's in the play.
It's in the play.
What the hell was her name?
Casil. That's a much better pronunciation. Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
But so she's the only other named character in this play, which automatically makes me wonder whether she has had a role in like the advent or the journey of the first Dark One, right? And so the way this whole thing read to me was that he like Karkun had been warned not to drink the well his whole life and stuff like that, but then he eventually does it, and obviously there was no Dark One before him, right? Because he was the first one. And then at the end of the play, once he's done all of that, it seems like the second page or the second set of pages outlines the defeat of Karkun by the forces of the light. And then like the last stanza is him going, or at least I think that's what him going, essentially, you may have defeated me, but I will keep coming back in the bodies of, and I quote, human boys with mind a trouble, features fine, until eventually he has his victory. And so,
yeah.
One, what's up with Casil? We have absolutely
I did totally not, sister. So
I know
that, but
our first reading is like this is why we're discussing this.
In your defense, when I was writing my notes down, I was like, "What's up with Karkun? What's up with Casil? Is she his lover, his sister, whatever?" And then I read the thing again, and I'm like, "Oh no, probably not the sister."
At least we hope it's not his sister.
Well, whatever. But so one, what's up with her? Two, what's up with him? and three, is every Dark One since him essentially
Karkun?
Like, is he? Well, he's not possessing them, right? Because Paul definitely had like it was still
him. Yeah,
mostly like he was more knowledgeable and powerful and stuff, but like it was still him. But like the promise at the end of that play that Karkun will keep coming back and taking young boys.
Troubled minds.
Yeah. I almost... or maybe the last cycle would be a troubled mind features fine. Like that would signal that
on my
Poe is going to be the
final
last
form. Like, what is that? On my final form, I dare thee look upon and know thy death. In time, the dark consumes the rest. Like, I guess final form isn't referring to the child he's taking, I guess. That was the idea that I had, but I'm convincing myself that is not the case. Like,
unless it's like the final child that he takes.
So it was like, I almost wonder if... So, the Legend of Zelda series of video games. I don't think I had to say that because pretty much everyone knows what Legend of Zelda is.
I really like the Legend of Zelda novels, really. Those are my favorite.
There are mangas of adaptations, but pretty much every game has Link, Zelda, and Ganon or Ganondorf.
Yep.
And in the Skyward Sword, which is theoretically chronologically the first one.
Right. Yep.
They defeat the Demon King, and he has a line about how we will be reborn again and again, like enacting like the same cycle.
Yep.
So I wonder if that is similar to this, where it's not Karkun's like mind being reborn, but like it's his soul being reborn as the new Dark One. And so like there are similarities, but in a way they're also each their own iteration of that person. You know?
So would the Destined One be reborn, or is it a new one that rises to fight this constant evil or Dark One?
I don't,
because it doesn't mention in that play any particular Destined One. It just says Kingdoms of Light. So maybe the Kingdoms of Light are just supplying someone to fight him constantly.
Well, it does say Destined You're One there. Like, he's like cursing the narrative almost. Like, until I've consumed your will to battle forth to narrative's bleak end.
Well, so he wants to break the narrative. Like, he wants to break the thing with the Dark One that makes it a little bit difficult for me to talk about is that like the Wheel of Time keeps like bleeding into my brain. Because there's some very similar concepts going on.
That and again, like Legend of Zelda, like reincarnate. Like Brandon's clearly drawing on all of those sorts of things.
Yeah,
right?
It's like and this is like a plot archetype, plot device trope.
Yeah,
like that I particularly enjoy. It's like where the world is being run by story logic. Like
I have a question.
Yeah,
if Karkun was the first Dark One, what was the narrative at that point?
Yeah.
Like the main, like, so when they talk about the narrative, they talk about a lot of things and how it like binds the lives of everyone together and stuff like that. But like the main things about the narrative are the Dark One and the Destined One. But if Karkun was the first Dark One, then why is he so upset about, like, because he does appear to want the narrative to crumble. So he's obviously bitter about that.
What if Karkun forced the narrative into this perpetual cycle of Dark Ones and Destined Ones until eventually a Dark One won? That before, like, the narrative was still doing its thing, like being like this fate or destiny, whatever.
Sure.
But then Karkun, the narrative said Karkun would lose. Karkun didn't like that. And he did something to the narrative to put it on repeat.
So it's like Rostic does say that Karkun's rise, it set the narrative in motion. So he specifically says that.
In the play at the beginning, he goes, "Was it not your counsel, Father, to be thusly cautious of the Bane Mirandus?" So Mirandus has the Droll. They live there. They're from Mirandus. They follow the Dark One. So why are they referring to at the beginning of this as the Bane of Mirandus? There's something is flip-flopped.
Of the Bane Mirandus.
Didn't they refer? So I couldn't remember this at the time, but when I was reading this play, I could have sworn the phrase Bane Mirandus had appeared somewhere else in the text.
Oh no.
and I thought it referred to the Dark One.
See,
they called the Dark One the Bane of Mirandus.
I think so. Like in modern day.
Linguistically, the Bane of Mirandus would be the Dark One. Thing. But like without the of implies that Mirandus is the Bane of something else.
Does it?
I think so.
Did I not?
That's how I
say, yes, Father. Ne'er shall I seed life for destined doom. So it seemed like they kind of knew that he would be destined for this, but right? Well, like, isn't that what that line?
All Dark Ones come from Earth. maybe like his father didn't want him to go to Mirandus.
Oh, the Bane Mirandus. Oh, okay.
Like Mirandus was the bad place for Karkun. Because if he went to Mirandus, like he would become the Dark One.
Okay.
But like also Dark Ones didn't exist yet at that point.
Well, but there could have been some like warning or danger or prophecies or whatever. Some
prophetic histories.
Prophetic history, if you will. God damn it, Ian. Stealing my thunder.
That's why I'm here. Speaking of thunder, also Mirandus is lightning-based world, I guess.
That never came back up after the lightning tree.
Oh, the tree? Yeah, what was up with that? Well,
it seemed like the Blackened Lands. Yeah. Oh, God. Karkun cast. Welcome to Karkun cast. It's like, honestly, you know what we need to do? We need to do a whole freaking episode where we read this out like we do epigraphs and just like piece apart every freaking line. Like, because honestly, we totally could.
Put in the comments below if you want us to do deep dives on Dark One.
I kind of want to do deep dives on Dark One, guys.
So do I.
Like, I'm kind of into this. I know the viewership will just be so much lower. But I don't care. It's pretty good. It will probably help when the hardcover's out, because right now it's like literally just the ebooks out.
Or if we could just type up all of the dialogue so we can search it.
That would, yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see the live stream Brandon's going to do about Dark One.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, now we gotta prep some questions for that. He wants Dark One questions. We can get that ready.
So I actually have a question that I think is very interesting that I would love Brandon to answer. And I will give you all a sneak peek of that. So Dark One was originally supposed to be Cosmere, right? And so the whale, it like the whale feels like the well, right?
Yeah,
the whale feels like a shard pool, and so I very much want to find out, like, which elements of the Dark One, like, how was the original, like, Cosmere Dark One story supposed to work, and, like, where can we find traces of that?
It could be a lot like how Skyward was, like, originally designed as Cosmere, but, like, there wasn't really a design to it. It was just, like, more like an idea.
Yeah, he had the idea. So it's like, but I think Dark One also hopped in and out of the Cosmere a few times during development.
I think so.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, there was a more developed version of Dark One in the Cosmere.
I actually really liked the portal fantasy nature of it with Earth and Mirandus. Like, that's usually not my thing, but I thought it worked pretty well. And like playing with the tropes of like the light and the destiny and stuff, that helps, I think.
I actually found an interesting part where Ilarion is talking to Feodora about the Destined One and where he always comes from Earth. He says, do you know where I'm from, my princess? She thinks that he's a man of Mirandus. He said, no. And then he says, my world stole your narrative, and together we can reclaim it. So there's something going on with Earth and Mirandus, and they're tied together, and Earth had an effect on the narrative that was already in place in Mirandus. So maybe this is where the Dark One and the Bane of Mirandus kind of came together during Karkun's time when he somehow, we don't know, went to Mirandus.
And there's also the line by Malmahan that this world, Earth, is just an echo compared to...
Echo,
correct, right, yep.
Which is weird because we're used to Earth being the real world.
Yeah.
Though later on, he also someone describes Mirandus as an ideal in the mind.
Yeah, that's Ilarion. When Ilarion talks to Feodora.
It's like they both think the other world is not the original world.
Yeah. What if it is Malmahan from Mirandus? Is that why he thinks Mirandus is the real world?
could explain why there wasn't like a way why there wouldn't be a destined one to rise up, because Malmahan was different in a way.
Yeah, he was not really the Dark One.
Yeah, he just like
getting all mixed up.
Yeah, so maybe it's not Ilarian's fault, but I imagine there's some lore with those two that we will learn about for sure.
Actually, I think you might be exactly right about that. I don't think I'm pretty confident that Malmaham was a Mirandan, just from like the way he talks.
Yeah, it's weird.
And like he says that this world is a prison, which
would make sense if Ilarian sent him there to Earth. Yeah.
But it's also fascinating how Paul also as a kid thinks that he doesn't really belong here. Like it's playing off of that vibe as well. And so I wonder if that's like his Mirandan blood calling him.
His Mirandan blood, or the narrative calling to him even then.
Yep.
Calling him to be the Dark One. Because he had the Dark One ability at that point. Because
he drunk from
bound his sister.
Yeah. Right, yeah. He had that ability. Yep. Totally agree. I kind of want to talk about the sister thing, because I wanted to talk about that like an hour ago, but that's fine. We had great discussion. But like, was Paul and Nika on Mirandus when they stepped on the mine? Like, I would say no.
I don't know where that mine came from.
That's really felt out of left field, right?
Yeah, that was one of my biggest notes. Like, what the hell was with the landmine?
And why does he blame himself for her death? Like that part I didn't quite understand.
Because he kills her before the landmine does.
Yeah. He kills her
with the Dark One powers
before it could. Yeah. Before she could step off of the mine.
Yeah, but she would have died anyway.
Well, yeah, but he's like a 4-year-old or whatever.
He's manifesting his powers.
Older than 4 years old. He's much older than 4 years old.
Yeah, he's like more like 8 or something. 8 through 10.
I don't know how kids work.
No, clearly not. But then there's a scene where a little bit before they did Mirandus know what would happen next, and kind of looks like Kingdom of Light E,
Yeah, it does feel like it to me.
And they're running around, but why is there a landmine? That just really comes out of nowhere technologically. And the Dark One does have technological things with the automatons, but landmines? What? I don't know.
I think that landmine is from Earth. I think there is more travel between the worlds than we may be anticipating.
They're trying to bring modern warfare to Mirandus to fight.
I'm not totally convinced that's Mirandus.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, it's so green.
Well, but there is a lot of green, but then there is I guess it's just very yellow because the sun is there, and there's this really tall not camels. I don't even know what you call those things.
Well, they're their own animal, the same way the Evermouth was.
Yeah, for sure. But it is so green, but if destined ones do come from Earth, they could totally use Earth weaponry things, which is an interesting idea.
Yeah. Hop back, get some landmines, just blow up the Dark One's armies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's Mirandus now, because in his study, he has all these skulls of those Evermouth beasts, and he has the head of the drow, and he has this claw thing, and he has a map of Mirandus behind him. So,
I mean, that's true. That's a good point.
I'm with you, and I think this is Mirandus, but also it's possible that these portals could just lead to anywhere.
Considering there's
so he can have. He can have artifacts and memorabilia from Mirandus because he is Mirandan.
Right.
But this could be just
that can send him wherever he wants
portal.
to.
Yeah. Now, if this portal fantasy is more like Narnia, then this portal has like a fixed destination on the other side.
Yeah, but it just like the pain.
Unless it goes to the woods between the worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like they do go through that like almost interstellar space-ish thing, and so it really feels like they can go. Yeah, with the weird leaf and like the floating planets or moons and stuff. I was like, I don't know. Couldn't they go anywhere? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's something weird with the time in Mirandus because they always say there's no hours, there's no days.
There's no
then
days,
they said while they're traveling, what happened might have lasted an hour or a year.
Well, it's that was one comment I had is like reading this, it feels like it takes over the course of a day or two.
Yeah.
Like 2 days, yeah.
But it takes place over 3 weeks.
Right.
Because it's like at the beginning it says the now is the big battle, and then it jumps back in time 3 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I loved seeing the prologue of the Dark One murdering Rostic, and then seeing that again, just with the extra context. It's like, oh yeah, he isn't pure evil. Like
it read so differently.
Oh yeah,
that was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
They executed that really, really well. Like to me, that was almost more of a payoff and a climax than the battle and Krasis and Fyodora at the end.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Like that, and I mean, again, one of my favorite parts is, oh no, Paul used the power to imprison his sister. Like, I just really love that. That like that's like one of the first things that we get about Dark One abilities, and then in retrospect, you're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense.
And his game that he's developing, that Heart of the City, and how that actually is what's going on with the whole world. That was a really great tie-in.
Yeah.
And she says, well, when you wake up, it all starts all over again. That's a reincarnation.
I love that game idea, by the way.
Yeah, I would play that.
I feel I would be very overwhelmed by that game, and I would not have fun.
Me as well. So I think, friends, what we'll do is we'll split things around here. We have so much that we want to talk about and like thoughts on what's going to happen next. So we will do that as well. How about we talk again briefly? Any like final overall thoughts before we go even more in depth? We've gone plenty in depth in this one. We'll go more in depth in the next one. But I just wanted to like kind of wrap up this part 1 of this episode with if we have any other thoughts.
I want book 2.
Yeah, I do too.
Same.
Curse you, Brandon. New things that I want immediately.
So one thing that surprised me. So obviously, and by this point, you already know that we all like the story, and we like the characters, and we like the world building and stuff. One thing that surprised me when I was reading this is that it really put the novel in graphic novel. Like, White Sand was like it's perhaps unfair for me to compare this with White Sand, because White Sand was never meant to be a graphic novel, so there are issues there. But like reading this, it very much in many ways read like a book, but with pictures.
Yeah.
And at times I felt like the pacing was a little too fast. I think Fyodora going from wanting to be the destined one to murdering her father in the course of 3 minutes because the White Wizard told her was perhaps a little rushed.
There are no minutes on Mirandus.
it happened over a week, really. So
I've been got.
The pacing is just weird because time on Mirandus is weird.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Easy.
Comment on time on Mirandus. Like, I think it's because Mirandus operates on story time.
The narrative time.
Narrative time.
Narrative time.
Which that's actually a much longer topic that I don't think we should get into.
But write that down, and we're going to talk about that in the next thing. But you're right. It did like feel like a book, and like it did have a conclusion. Like I do really want the next one, but I wasn't unsatisfied with this because a lot of key questions were answered.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm more excited. Like, obviously, I will always be more excited about Cosmere content than I will be about non-Cosmere content.
Right,
just by the nature of like the Cosmere saga is so much bigger than everything else, right? But like,
and we're in deep already, so
yeah. But this is really, really interesting, and I don't know if I like this better than Skyward. But
I like this better than Skyward. I really like Skyward, don't get me wrong. I like this better than Skyward. This hits a lot of the tropes that I really like.
More the so format of a graphic novel.
Yeah.
It's so hard for me to compare those two because I like them for two totally different reasons. So it's really hard for me to compare these two. But I'm really surprised how much I like this. Because new things, it's always hard for me to get it into any new series or anything. I'm just like, whatever, don't care. Even though it's a Brandon thing, so I'll probably usually be on the positive scale, right? Generally.
I think we're contractually obligated to buy everything he publishes anyway, so...
I don't know about audiobook originals. I might pass on that, to be honest, until I can get some transcripts.
I will listen to them, listeners and viewers. Don't worry about it. We will have content about them.
We will have content about them. But I was just really... I'm, pretty into this. And, I'm sure we're going to see about the lightning stuff. Oh, man. Danielle, what do you think?
Well, the story is engaging and very interesting and unique. But the thing that I really liked was how the art kind of filled in things that a novel wouldn't be able to do. Like, we were talking about different ways that the artwork pulled the story along without even using words. There were scenes that you could see, and then the juxtaposition of the beginning, the prologue, and the ending.
Yeah.
Well, it's just something that you can't really do as effectively with just words and just imagination. You can see it visually on the page, and it's very, very interesting. And it's also something that I can share with people who aren't necessarily big readers, which I have a lot of friends in my life who don't read. And so this is very exciting for me to be able to share a book from my favorite author that they wouldn't normally read if it was just, words on a page, but it's got all this art and action and stuff. So
and the intrigue,
I'm really excited about that.
It hooks you really quick,
It really does. Yeah, that prologue.
Yeah. And you're totally right about the art because, when his eyes glow, he's using Dark One abilities. And it's right, great. And even, as soon as he drinks from the well, the text bubbles, they're red and black, right? And, that's a cool juxtaposition that, you could use a different font in a book, but, that doesn't really work. Way of Kings, they have to do the small caps for Stormfather and,
So many more tools. And yes, you do lose some stuff by going to this medium as opposed to pure text. Obviously, you don't have as much ability to word vomit and describe things and explain things, but it works very well with the tools that are available.
It makes it a tight, fast read, which I that's always good, nice. But if anything, just the ending is a little too fast because a lot of things happen, right?
Yeah.
And as our discussion proved, they packed so much into it. There's all this world building that it's there in the text and in the images, but it's not been expounded on in the story because there's 2 more books, I think, maybe, hopefully.
Potentially.
We think it's true.
But I'm at least excited to get more lore. There's enough lore and mystery that, you totally can do a lot of these other multimedia things. So remember, there will be a TV show. There will be these audio things in addition to the graphic.
There will be a TV show, potentially. They're working on one. It might not actually happen.
I think J. Michael Straczynski's attached, though. That's... I mean...
Yes. Until it's in production.
That's true. You're not wrong with given all Hollywood things, but when you get a big name like that, who did Babylon 5 and things like that, that it
bodes well. It's not a guarantee.
Yes, true. True. I think it's just that he's busy, and so that's why it hasn't started. But I'm pretty ready.
Well, there's also like funding that needs to happen.
Well, yeah.
That's the bigger thing.
True. At least we'll get plenty of lore and stuff. So cool. We're not gonna do who's that Cosmere character in this because this isn't Cosmere. But
who's that Miranda's character?
There's not that many. Drink from the well of sorrows and or darkness, depending on how you like it, and become the Lord Ruler, and then jump over to the Cosmere and edit yourself into the Cosmere. The narrative encompasses,
and then Earth will be in the Cosmere.
Dun dun dun.
Oh no.
And then you go meet the Reckoners in the Apocalypse Guard. Easy.
It's his master plan.
Yep. And thanks for Hank Green for sponsoring this episode. So you can find us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. You can come talk about Dark One with us in the forums and in our Discord. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud. You can leave us a review on iTunes. And if you like our stuff, you can support us on Patreon if you want. And we'll see you in a bit. I don't know if this next episode will be in the next week because we've got the Way of Kings Kickstarter, so we might do something for that. But it will be soon where you get more Dark One discussion. So we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Ta. I'm going to press stop on this and pee, and then we'll continue if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay.